These teens got superpowers, but one of them is an incel, so things got a little dicey. Meet a high school teenager, Andrew Detmer. He's videotaping his life with a huge old camera he recently bought. As he gets ready for school in his room, his drunk alcoholic father Richard beats on his door, demanding he open it. Wait a second, old camera, drunk alcoholic dad? It's like the first years of a YouTube career. Andrew refuses to open it because dad is drunk as a skunk and promises he will record him and post it on his channel with 3 subscribers. Works like a charm and the dad disappears. My style. I used to ask my dad for pocket money and he used to say I should pay him for putting up with me. He was a classy guy. Then Andrew films his mom, who slowly dies from cancer. Wholesome. Dang, those massive old cameras sure were dangerous. Wait a minute, alcoholic dad and a dying mother? That's the ideal upbringing to become a rapper. Andrew's cousin Matt drives him to school, which is pretty impressive since Andrew has neither a license nor a car or even money for a bus. Self-dignity. I mean, you get the picture. But hopefully not with one of those killer cameras. Matt questions Andrew's filming but awkwardly accepts it when Andrew claims it's just something he does now. At least he doesn't take weapons to school. Well, not intentionally. While writing, Matt shares his superb singing skills and German philosopher quotes. Oh wait, who's insane here again? Matt indulges in some oregano before going to class. Oh, now I'm cool. They say no one was hurt under the influence of oregano before. Although Matt is the closest thing Andrew has to a friend, he still avoids him at school. Wonder why. You know these type of fellas who pretend to be cool and don't hang with losers, but in reality, they're even bigger losers. Matt here. But Andrew's situation is even worse. He's a creepy, nerdy, unpopular dude who gets constantly bullied and harassed, particularly by a student named Wayne. Relatable. On the way home, Matt invites Andrew to a party that night. Andrew's reluctant, but Matt insists, as this is Andrew's last chance actually to socialize and not end up in a rope. Andrew says he'll consider it. Matt suggests that Andrew should leave the camera behind. No one loves TikTokers at a party, but Andrew insists on its important purpose of thinning the herd. It worked with mom and dad. Maybe it'll make bullies disappear too. That night in Andrew's room, a drunk Richard bursts in and throws Andrew off his desk chair. Damn it, bro. How did you forget to lock it? And even the camera doesn't work this time. Dad schools his son and demands he opens the bedroom door when he says so, because that's how successful dads roll. With that done, Andrew accepts Matt's offer to join him at the party. What a fabulous day it was. A bit of booze won't ruin it for sure. Matt tries to avoid Andrew at the party and asks him to socialize alone. It's like throwing a zebra at a pack of hyenas. What's worse, the guy doesn't even drink. You'll have a hard time living on this planet, bro. Actually, no one seems to care about Andrew and his filming. No one except Casey, another wannabe blogger nerd. Casey tries to have small talk with Andrew when suddenly Matt shows up. He reveals his cringe crush on Casey as he attempts to make a move on her and fail miserably, trying to quote yet another virgin philosopher. The party goes on. Andrew's filming gets the negative attention of a drunken, stylish wannabe Peaky Blinder. Tom Shelby here thinks Andrew filmed his girlfriend. Well, I thought that was a sussy dancer. Andrew thought the same and immediately regretted bringing a camera. Matt tried to warn you. Andrew leaves the party in tears of humiliation. He gets approached outside by Steve Montgomery, the school's famous star quarterback and future Obama #2. Steve needs Andrew, his camera, to record something strange Steve and Matt have found in the woods nearby. A hole in the ground that emits a loud and weird noise. So many holes at the party, but the boys pick the biggest and loudest one. Classy. After slight hesitation, the 3 enter the hole, gross, and discover a large, blue, glowing, crystal-like object. As Andrew films and Steve approaches the creepy crystal, the thing turns red, and the group is suddenly hit with nosebleeds and a bunch of pain. The camera cuts out. It was a great movie. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Oh wait, it's still going. Weeks later, Andrew records himself with a brand new camera. Matt and Steve display their unique abilities, telekinesis. Somehow, they can move objects with their minds but suffer nosebleeds when they overexert themselves. Stranger Things moment. They show off their telekinesis by throwing a baseball at each other. Andrew can also stop them, so I guess he's the catcher? Seems like Andrew's better than the rest with these superpowers. He's at least got some achievement in life. The trio returns to the hole but finds that it has collapsed and that the sheriff's department is sealing off the area for safety. Was it indeed radiation? Maybe it is something that makes you crazy and you start believing you have superpowers. Too good to be true. As Andrew drives with Steve in his car, the two bond. Steve also questions Andrew's filming habits, believing it creates a barrier surrounding Andrew. No girls allowed barrier, that's for sure. Not that they wanted to cross it anyway. Andrew thinks he probably likes that. Bruh, who needs girls when you have superpowers? And 2 boys to share them with. Like they shared that hole. Andrew opens up to Steve about his unhealthy home life with his sick mom and drunk dad, who was a firefighter but got injured and now can't even extinguish the fire in his pipes. Steve also has some problems in his family. His mom's cheating on his dad, and she was damn good too. I might even call her. Later that night in Andrew's room, we hear Richard loudly arguing with someone over the phone, revealing that he is financially struggling to keep his wife healthy. Andrew doesn't really care. He can float a camera now. Hooray! Come on, bro. Telekinesis some money to her. Or me. The 3 musketeers develop a close friendship and hang out with each other. Even Matt stopped acting like a huge loser, which for him is pretty much a second superpower. As their abilities continue to grow more powerful, Matt theorizes that their abilities function like a muscle, becoming stronger with use. They begin employing their abilities to do something edgy, At last, what will it be? Playing in a casino? Robbing a bank? Nah, they play pranks. Scaring children by levitating toys at them at a market and moving cars around in a parking lot. Imagine being even more useless. Hawkeye? Never mind. The boys keep developing skills, creating some mental barriers. Matt shares he's into altruism. No, not autism. It's when you want to help people. Seems pretty innocent until their abilities go too far when Andrew levitates a rude trucker off the road into a river. Boom. At least there's some action at last. Steve saves the man from the river and Matt calls the cops to take the man into medical care. Both are shocked and outraged that Andrew would carelessly go that far. Andrew doesn't understand their anger. So what? One casualty here? Another there? I feel it, bro. But Mr. Moral Matt reminds him that he has hospitalized a person. The whole thing results in Matt establishing 3 rules. They never use their powers against living things, they never use them out of rage or anger, and they probably should no longer use them in public. Boo! Lame. You just started doing something fun with it. Andrew tries to object, which I find fair, but he's overruled when Matt insists it's what they need now, that they're growing stronger, and Steve agrees. These girls lost their testicles, throwing balls at each other too much. It started with one big hole, now there are just 3 little ones. The next day, Steve calls Andrew and Matt to a superhero meeting. That's a lot of trash around. But where's Steve? Oh, he's here levitating and stuff. Literally flying. Oh nice, you can do more fun stuff now, like pranking kids while flying. Matt has a harder time keeping up, and Andrew is the first to get it right immediately. They go for a flight to throw a football. Suddenly, a passing plane knocks Steve down. Andrew saves his life seconds before Steve is turned into licorice pizza. The boys are sharing some boy stuff. We find out Andrew hasn't clapped cheeks before. Honestly, I'm not that surprised. They agree to fly around the world together after graduation, with Andrew expressing an interest in visiting Tibet because of its peaceful nature. Steve and Matt joke at first. I would visit those Thai boys too, but they finally agree. Matt goes to Casey's house and attempts yet another miserable move on her by claiming he's not the smug nerd he used to be. Aren't you, Matt? Since getting these superpowers, you seem to get nerdier than ever. Too much communication with Andrew, I suppose. But Casey kind of likes it. After all, she's nerdy too. They must be made for each other. Meanwhile, Steve and Andrew sit on top of the Seattle Needle, talking about their potential futures and how Andrew's relationship with Matt was different before high school, being close friends before Matt started avoiding him. It's okay, school kids are the worst. Steve encourages Andrew to enter the school talent show to gain popularity. Showing card tricks in high school should give you some ladies, right? After all, chicks love magicians, don't they? Honestly, I have no idea. All I know how to do is make a second date disappear. I'm gonna fire my writer, dude. Before Andrew goes, his mother admires him and his friends. The boys here are wearing tuxedos, not seagulls crab like before. But his drunken father is suspicious of how Andrew gets to school without Matt giving him rides. The man has literally got nothing better to do. Maybe try working? What for? Social Security covers beer. Or that's what my friend said. Matt films a talent show when Casey comes up and films him. Is that the way Zoomers create relationships now? Like all you need to do to get a chick is to film her on TikTok? And if it gets at least 1,000 likes in an hour, you get to score. Oh, what a brave new world. Andrew amazes the school with Copperfield tricks. Juggling, tightrope walking, card tricks. It would make anyone snooze in the real world, but it somehow works here. And Andrew immediately turns from a bully's litter into the most popular man in the school. Whoever wrote this movie must have been homeschooled. That night, Andrew, Matt, and Steve celebrate at a house party, where Andrew is the center of attention. That's even more unrealistic than their superpowers if you ask me. Andrew drinks for the first time and meets his classmate, Monica, who's melting on him like a bar of chocolate in my hand while it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit. After a few minutes, they go upstairs. Okay, is this some kind of fantasy movie here? Come on guys, I can handle all that Harry Potter stuff, but not Andrew scoring after getting drunk. Oh wait, he threw up on her. Finally, some realism in the house. Casey is also at the party. She invites Matt to go somewhere else with her. Ah, whatever, you ruined it for me again, and I almost believe this was real. After his accident, Andrew gets back to being an increasingly hostile loser after logging onto r/incel. His father eventually discovers Andrew's camera and scolds him for keeping such an expensive item to himself while their family financially struggles. I feel you, bro, but if you could only drink 10 beers a day instead of 12, you could save those $700 in a month. Richard also accuses Andrew of wasting all his money, like there was ever something to waste, and claims Matt and Steve are not his friends, calling him an embarrassment. Oh man, such a glassy alcoholic dad. It's like they've written him from a book, or my diary. Anyways, Andrew has had enough and calls his dad an idiot. Richard goes on a physical lesson of respect, because that's how you gain your son's love. But Andrew thinks differently. Finally, he gets tired of getting beaten all day long, so he uses his abilities to overpower his dad and throws him against a wall. Well, Richard got lucky. Andrew's outburst inflicts nosebleeds and pain on Steve and Matt. Matt ignores the nosebleed because there's Casey in the room. Understandable. But Steve is drawn to Andrew, who's floating in the middle of a storm. He notices Andrew's black eye and realizes his father did it to him. An emotionally distressed Andrew tells Steve to stop pretending he cares about him. He goes forward by saying Steve never was his friend from the beginning. Ouch, that's not how musketeers roll. Steve reminds him that he's always been there with Matt, but Andrew grows increasingly frustrated until Steve is suddenly struck by lightning and killed. Rip in peace. They always kill the black guy first. And to be honest, I liked him more than the rest of the crew. Racism. At Steve's funeral, Matt confronts Andrew about the suspicious circumstances of Steve's death. Although Steve was killed by lightning, there were no lightning strikes reported on the news, and his body was found in a field, and there's no reason he would have been out there. Mr. Sherlock Holmes, nice to meet you. Andrew denies any responsibility, but Matt doesn't believe him. If I have to pick between Zeus and Andrew, I would also say it was the latter. Later, it is proven that Matt was right when Andrew privately begs forgiveness at Steve's grave, considering that his abilities are taking over him and he misses him. Maybe your abilities want you to do something worth living instead of pranking kids and killing friends. Come on, bro, get a hold of yourself. You're literally the world's most whiny superhero. Andrew grows distant from Matt and again finds himself alone and unpopular at school. Relatable. Finally, everything goes back to normal. Or does it? After being bullied by Wayne again, Andrew uses his power to tear several teeth from Wayne's mouth. Alright, now we're talking. Andrew begins to identify himself as an apex predator rather than embracing his destiny in dentistry. He believes he should not feel guilt for using his power to hurt those weaker than himself. When his mother's condition deteriorates, Andrew goes to pick up his mother's medicine. Alright, now we're talking. Before he goes, Matt shows up in Andrew's room confronting him about the incident at school with Wayne. Leave us alone, Matt. The only valuable thing you did was Casey. Annoyed, Andrew tries to brush him off, but Matt gets aggressive and reminds him about the rules. Rules, schmools, let's just go crazy. Andrew, finally having enough of Matt, aggressively and desperately assures him he's not breaking the rules and tells him to stay out of his life. At the pharmacy, Andrew finds out his mother's medication is too expensive. But Andrew's got a plan. Andrew wears his dad's firefighter costume and goes on a manhunt. Haha, at last. He decides to mug local thugs. Sounds like an act of revenge, and they actually immediately identified him. Seriously, this guy could steal Mona Lisa from the Louvre with his abilities, and instead he goes for local thugs that don't even have enough money. Andrew then robs a gas station where a cashier comes back with this shotgun, which causes an explosion. At last, some peace for a young fella. Andrew gets into the hospital and is under police investigation. So this is it for our predator supervillain? Not at all. At his bedside, his upset father informs the unconscious Andrew that his mother has died. Oh man, if only you spent less time pranking kids. Richard angrily blames Andrew for her death, accusing him of forcing him out of the house to look for him when his mother needed him. Believing that Andrew can hear what he's telling him, he demands Andrew to stand up and apologize for taking him away from her in her final time of need. Give him a break, man, at least once. Andrew has enough of this lame douche, wakes up, grabs his father's hand, and blows out the outer wall of the hospital room. Yeah, go Andrew. Show me, if there's anyone to show it. Mob Psycho, anyone? Meanwhile, Matt attends a family birthday party with Casey. He suddenly experiences a nosebleed. You got it right, Andrew is in trouble. He sees a television news report about the hospital explosion and knows it was Andrew immediately. Matt and Casey ride to the hospital and find Andrew floating outside the building, dangling his father over the ground by his ankle. Andrew throws his father, blaming him for driving him into this insane state. Oh wait, Matt saves him. So you're telling me the only person who will die in this story is Steve? RIP to the only cool one in the group. Andrew proceeds to wreak havoc with his superpowers, picking up Matt's car and nearly killing Casey before Matt saves her life. Matt has to reveal his superpowers too when he confronts Andrew at the Space Needle. Well, at this moment, the whole city is aware of two super powerful losers fighting each other because there's apparently no crime to fight, no money to steal, and no cheeks to clap. Maybe we should instigate a kind of Hunger Games for incels. Matt tries to reason with Andrew, telling him it's not too late to turn everything around, and they can start over. With his superpowers, that's a great idea. Just roll on to Tibet, boys. But Andrew contradicts this and berates Matt for abandoning him when he needed him the most. These Omegas. If you have a loser who constantly gets bullied, finish his struggles. Still, water runs deep. Matt tries to remind Andrew that this isn't him, but Andrew declares himself an apex predator, attacking Matt. You won't bullcrap Matt with these philosophical words. The man definitely read some Nietzsche. The boys now fight across the city, crashing through buildings and hurling vehicles as Matt continues to try to reason with Andrew. He's now like the Hulk. No way to stop the angry loser. He begins using his powers to destroy the buildings around him. What for? Threatening many other lives. Unable to get to Andrew, Matt tears a spear from a nearby statue and impales Andrew, finally killing him. The police surround Matt, but he flies away. Guess who's an apex predator now? Sometime later, Matt lands in Tibet with Andrew's camera. Speaking to the camera while addressing Andrew, he apologizes for killing him. He had no other choice. I'm sure that makes it all fine. Well, you could fly away with Casey. Never mind. He tells his cousin he loves him and now vows to use his powers for good and to find out what happened to them in the hole. Your brains got radiated and everything is in your imagination? No? Too good to be true, I guess. Matt positions the camera to view a Tibetan monastery in the distance and says, "You made it." Before flying away, he says goodbye to Andrew, leaving the camera behind to continue recording the tranquil scene and irradiate all the monks living there. Moral of the story? Apex Legends.